Good morning. I am Dr. Sheila, lead professor. Now I am handling the course Engineering Geology, Module 1, Physical Geology. So what is the objective of this lesson? For what purpose do a civil engineer need to learn engineering geology? The first one is he will be able to understand the earth, earth and its features, earth and its nature, and what are the consequences the earth face in the day by day evolution. Next, based upon this study of earth, how does an engineer, especially a civil engineer, can interpret these data acquired towards his projects, like constructions of dams, tunnels, bridges, roads, airport and harbour, and even now multi-story buildings, apartments and huge skyscrapers and tall buildings. Now, outcomes of this lesson will make a student to acquire a knowledge in basic properties of the minerals that is available in the core of the earth, and next to gain knowledge about the rocks prevailing in the mountains and its various types, difference, distributions and uses, and how the geological structure can be categorized for the nature of the buildings to be constructed on the particular area. And to illustrate these geological applications and investigations in projects, like the main sources of all the nations and the country and the states projects, such as dams, tunnels, bridges, roads, airport and harbour. Since all these are the economy of a country, these projects can be come out in 100% economy, which directly affects the nation's improvement and development. Now let us move to the course content. What all topics involved and subtopics involved in physical geology? In this physical geology, we will study the various branches of geology, and then the structure of the earth where we live and its composition of the earth minerals, and how do these minerals weathering of rocks which have created these minerals, and then what is meant by weathering, how does scales are formed in weathering, after scales formation, how soil is formed due to the external agents like river, wind and groundwater and sea. So these weathering reagents and withering reactions make soil formation. And then finally we'll have a look on plate tectonics, how the continents are distributed, are disturbed by the earth pressure and had split into many parts of continents, and this plate tectonics as a result of earthquakes caused on the earth and the seismic zones decided by the seismology department in India. Now let us enter into the course, the branches of geology, the subtopic branches of geology. Here I have listed 9 topics. So what all is coming under this branches of geology is general geology, structural geology, petrology, mineralogy, economic geology, geophysics, mining geology, paleontological geology, remote sensing. Now, this structures of earth is the basic study of geology. Okay. Now, what are the 3 main parts of the structure of the earth? The main 3 parts is picturized and shown in a diagram too. Now, Crust, mantle and core are the three main parts of the structure of the earth. The top layer, is the crust. The top layer is the crust, and next comes below that is mantle, and next is the outer core and inner core. The center part is known as the core, and inside is inner core and outside is outer core. So here you have a big diagram where all the parts are shown in detail. Next, let us see about the crust. What is meant by crust? The top layer of the earth. Now, it is dense and it contains iron and nickel, and the inner core is very solid and the outer core is liquid, and the crust is made of silicon and aluminium. Next, the mantle. Now, mantle is very less than the core, and then the contents are iron and magnesium silicate, and mostly it is solid, and upper mantle is partially molten. Now, next comes the outermost layer, very thin and rigid. It is granite and it is basalt. Okay. Now let us see how this rock formation is weathering and eroded and deposited. So weathering is nothing but the process, the breaking of mountains, the breaking of huge rocks. And after that, when it comes in contact with the rain, the broken fragments are eroded and brought inside the land, towards the land, and then after the flow of water is stopped or the wind blown is stopped, the deposition starts. The deposition of rocks are being prevail on the ground. This deposition of rock fragments after the process of erosion and weathering is said to be the soil formation. Next, what is weathering? We have seen in the picture. Now you can read it. It is a process at near Earth's surface that cause rocks or minerals and minerals to break down. And next, what is erosion? It is removing earth materials from its original site through weathering agents like rain, wind, and it transports from the origin of the rock formation towards the land. And then what are the types of weathering? There are three types: physical, chemical and biological. Now, what is the process done in the agents of this mechanically drawn weathering? It is frost wedging, next is thermal expansion, third one is exfoliation, fourth one is abrasion and plant growth. So these are all the process done in weathering. And then what is a process in chemical weathering? Dissolving, oxidation and hydrolysis. Let us view the pictures, what happens during mechanical and chemical weathering. Now this is known as frost wedging. frost wedging is nothing but when the water is filled inside the crack, it expands the portion, and then there is a crack is widened and it breaks the rock. So this is the frost wedging happening during the weathering. And then next picture shows you the heat or thermal expansion. When the heat is in the highest degrees, the weathering happens from starting of a crack. Next, how does sun makes the rock to break? So the rock surface is heated up and expands, and then the rock surface cools in the night, and then result of this alternate heat and cold, the top surface of the rock starts to form joints and cracks, and then the original rock surface is broken, and this fragment is resulted in soil formation. So one of the next process, abrasion. When one stone comes in contact with another stone in the moving slide, it makes abrasion. Each another forms their shape into new shape, that is a rounded shape. Now, in the cracks formed due to this weathering and abrasion, there is a gap where moisture is present, and this moisture makes the seeds that has appeared inside the crack due to wind. This seeds startingly it grows day by day. Now, we can see a very clear picture for formation of soil, how soil is formed. Now, the first point is bedrock. This bedrock is disintegrating. Disintegrating means weathering begins. And then the organic matters grow in this parent material, and this bedrock makes the breakage of fragments, that is mineral fragments and organic matter in the third stage. So, in the fourth stage, the greater plant growth makes the rock bedrock to break. Now, let us go for the second topic of classification of soils. So, what are the classification of soil is? Cohesive, non-cohesive, transported and residual. Based on the composition of the soil, we can go into another distribution of types of soil. That is, we can categorize clay, sand, gravel and laterite, black cotton, red soil. So these are all based on the composition of the contents materials present inside it. Now we can see in the picture how the classification of soil looks. Clay soil, sandy soil, silty soil, peaty soil, chalky soil, loamy soil. So all the pictures are clearly shown. Now, based upon the place of origin, how the soil is classified. It can be desert soil, in the desert, and alluvial soil, coastal soil, mountainous soil and peat soil. Alluvial soil is in the appearance of black loamy, and coastal sand soil, wherever there is a stagnant or a bank of water, there is a water area, that area bank, the soil present in the sides is known as coastal sand soil. And next is mountainous soil present in the foot of the mountain, and peat soil. This is the combination of peat and humus and plant which is decayed. And then how these landforms and processes associated with river is transformed, we are going to see. So source of running water is, it can be rainwater or it can be glacier in mountainous region, and it's groundwater below the ground level. Now we'll see what are the types of river. There is perennial river and non-perennial river. How this river acting as a movement of water makes the soil to be transported from one place to another place. And now the river profile is the head and the mouth. Here we have shown you a long profile of a river. upper course, middle course and lower course. Now how is the river flowing shows you a stream pattern. That is, it can be consequent, subsequent and obsequent. There is a drainage pattern known as dendritic or tree-like drainage. This drainage pattern shows you the in sequence stream, consequent stream and oblique tributaries. So this types of drainage pattern shows you the various pattern which is observed from the Earth's profile. One is trellis, second one is dendritic, third is radial drainage, fourth is superimposed and fifth is antecedent drainage. So this picture shows you the trellis drainage pattern, that is like a stem of the leaf stem with the branch. And then this is dendritic drainage pattern. It is like a blossoming flower. And the radial pattern. And finally, we can conclude with this, the drainage patterns. Dendritic pattern develops on relatively uniform bedrock and rectangular pattern develops on highly jointed bedrock, and radial pattern develops in isolated volcanic cones or domes, and trellis pattern develops in areas of alternating weak and residual bedrock. And now you can see the superimposed drainage, how it is shown before and after of the moving weathering agents. So we have studied the physical geology, the Earth's composition, structure of the Earth and the weathering agents, how they disintegrate the rock and how do they transport the rock fragments through river, and what are the drainage patterns, that is river patterns which prevails in the distributaries of the river, and how does it transform the soil from one place to another place. Thank you.